You're watching At Issue with Tom Hauser.
And welcome back. It's just been a little over a year since the statewide smoking ban went into effect, and a couple of people are here to talk about what impact that has had, and they have different opinions on the impact, whether it's good or bad for the state of Minnesota. Senator Kathy Sheran, one of the authors of the Freedom to Breathe Act, I believe it was named in the state legislature, and Sue Jeffers, a former bar and restaurant owner, now a talk show host on K-Talk 100.3. Let's talk, and you're, of course, an opponent of this, but Senator Sheran, let me start with you. Has it exceeded your expectations, the impact that this would have on the lifestyles of people here in Minnesota?
Well, you know, the purpose of the Freedom to Breathe Act is based on the need to protect the public from the hazards of secondhand smoke. And if that's the measure of whether or not we've been successful, it's been really an overwhelming success. We know within 5 weeks after persons who had been exposed to secondhand smoke in restaurants and bars but had not been exposed outside of that place, when we checked their urine, we discovered an 80% reduction in carcinogens in their bodies as a result of the Freedom to Breathe Act, the elimination of smoke in places that they were working and in places where the public are coming together.
Now, Sue, I know you're no longer in the bar and restaurant business, but when you were an outspoken opponent of this because you said it was bad for business. How has the impact been on bars and restaurants in particular in Minnesota?
I still, 1 year later, get letters, emails, phone calls from bars who are suffering. And a senator started out right off the bat talking about public health. This is not about public health. This is about control. This is about property rights. This is about social engineering. If we were talking about public health, we'd be talking about air quality standards, and we aren't talking about that.
Now, there have been some statistics that have come out. Now, I know the study was done before the ban actually took effect. But
you might want to repeat that.
But
before the ban took effect?
But regardless of when it was taken, who knows, the number may be even lower the next time a study comes out. But the number of adults smoking in Minnesota has gone down from 20% of adults down to 17, or actually it's down to 17 compared with 20% nationally. So we're below the national average. This is something I'm sure you were shooting for as an ancillary benefit of this.
It's a secondary gain, absolutely. Not only have we reduced the exposure of secondhand smoke and the carcinogens to people who work and people who enjoy their social life in bars and restaurants, we also have some secondary gains, and those are that more people are trying to quit smoking. We also have the statistic that indicates we have lower rates of actual smoking. But we have to remember that the Freedom to Breathe Act was about secondhand smoke. It was about the exposure as a result of the carcinogens in secondhand smoke. And even though in the debate throughout the legislature we took a look at the economic impact of that throughout our industry, the legislature came to the conclusion that the savings to the public in terms of the costs of health care, this is a cost driver to the cost of health care, the inflationary costs of health care, along with the health care benefits of relieving people from having to be in the presence of secondhand smoke, really trumped what might be the concern around some impact in the industry.
And Sue, don't you think long-term people will just adjust their lifestyles accordingly? And I know I've read some accounts that some bars and restaurants that were hurting initially saw people kind of make the adjustment, and they've slowly been coming back. Isn't that likely to happen over time as the smoking rate goes down?
It happens because the economy grows, and that's what we count on. It will take a bar owner 3 to 7 years to recover from this. This, in essence, set back the hospitality industry 10 years. Of the 20-some states that have smoking bans, Minnesota is one of only 5 that has a total smoking ban. Most have hardship waivers or some sort of a way to help the businesses. The bar owners were exactly right. We come back 1 year later, everything we said came true. Lost jobs, lost revenues, and no one's any healthier.
If you take this study at face value and only 17% of adults in Minnesota are actually smokers, how does that have such a deleterious effect on bars and restaurants if just 17% are smoking?
When you go to a bar, you're not exactly making a healthy choice all the time. You go to have beer and relax and have fun. What it's done now is put the smoking back in the homes. And you can be sure homes, cars, outdoors are going to be next. You can count on it. The nanny state is alive and well in Minnesota.
I think that your question is an important one. If 77% of the Minnesotans really approve, it was 70% of the time of the vote, it's 77% now approve of the Freedom to Breathe Act.
That's a public opinion poll about
That's a public opinion poll. And then we only have 17%, and we have this reduction to 17% smokers. There's a huge market out there for this industry to pursue if they are willing to make changes in how they do business. And And I also think that it's important to note that you can't blame the recession and all the economic downturn on the Freedom to Breathe Act. There's so many factors, much larger, in the whole world that are impacting the downturn in the economy.
Thankfully,
and you can't
we
lay that
checked
on the
those
place
numbers.
of freedom to breathe.
Thankfully, we got those numbers in Hennepin County in Minneapolis before the economy tanked, before the gas prices were skyrocketing. One of the ripple effects of this, too, is the negative effect on the kids. By prohibiting smoking, they've made it cool to the kids now. And kids have plenty of money. Look at their iPods, look at their cell phones, look at everything they do. And they've made smoking cool now. So you're going to see a long-term ripple effect on the kids as well.
Do you buy this lure of the forbidden among kids?
I see it every day.
Absolutely not. I do not buy that. I don't buy anything that was just said. First of all, the Department of Economic Development and Employment has not been able to give us data to tell us exactly what the economic impact is in this industry, excepting in the area of charitable gambling.
Down
and there's a
$40
recent,
million in
please let me finish.
months.
There is a recent poll that talked about what the impact of peer smoking in bars and restaurants has on other people starting, and it indicates that if smoking isn't occurring there, then people are less likely to start smoking.
And Sue, I'll give you the final word. And you're right, charitable gambling in these establishments, pull tabs and the like, are down significantly.
Yes, down significantly. Everything the bar owner said was true. And they tried to scare us with the science. They came in, it altered our businesses. I get letters every single day.
But the gambling proceeds were going down before the Freedom to Breathe Act, and the economy, its overall economy, is also impacting
lots of
charitable
excuses,
gambling.
don't they have lots of excuses?
All right, well,
and they don't understand the difference between micro and macroeconomics, too. It's really hurt the hospitality industry.
All right, well, the ban remains in effect, but the debate goes on. Sue
Yes.
Jeffers, Senator Kathy Sheran, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.